Welcome, Libra. It's your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 15th of June for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share the big themes of the week ahead first. On screen is your event chart as we go into the week. I'll unpack that. Always an important backdrop. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear picture of what's upcoming in terms of your energy, work, relationships, or finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. As we come into the week, there's that new moon. It's a new moon for you in the part of your chart to do with expansion, travel, really freeing your life up in a more spontaneous way. And intriguingly, Uranus, the planet which is very much to do with doing things off the cuff, is in the sign of Gemini on a new moon for the first time since 1949, 77 long years. But also at the start of this week, I need to share that with you. But Venus, your ruler, is forging a series of dazzling links, which could be very exciting for your social life. There may well be a link. However, what we do have is Chiron, the so-called wounded healer, moving out of your sector of relationships, where it's been full time since February 2019 and into a deeper part of your chart for the next 3 months. What's the significance of that? And then as we get to the back end of the week, we do have the solstice. Now, in the north, it's the summer. In the south, it's the winter. But in terms of the astrology, it is the summer solstice because Western tropical astrology is predicated on the seasons. So as the sun moves into the most visible part of your chart, where it will be for the following month, it also introduces cardinal quadrant 2, the next 13-week period. And your connection to the wider world through to the autonomal equinox in your zodiac sign is really going to be important during that whole period. So on the screen now is your event chart. Now, if you're someone who has felt a bit constrained recently by life's demands, you may be in the mood on the back of this particular lunation to do something that is rather much more off the cuff. So if you're in the mood to be that much more spontaneous, book that travel plan. You're actually moving around this week. Your timing is very good. But it could be that the restlessness or the desire for a change may be just as much about your work as your personal situation. But that feeling unsettled is not the lunation on its own. It is the role of Uranus. And Uranus is clashing with the nodal axis in a T square. And I think really round to the 26th of July when the nodes switch, particularly, you're going to feel the need to perhaps have that liberation from something that feels very demanding, either emotionally with the North Node in Pisces or physically with the South Node in Virgo. So if you're feeling weighed down by life's demands, the desire to shake things up is extremely strong. However, you do have Jupiter, the planet of growth and optimism, in a very visible part of your chart, in a great link with Mars. As this week goes on, Mars is getting closer to the exact sextile on the 28th. And if you are wanting to transform your finances or go for a big golden prize as far as your career is concerned, it may require you to break free or do something different than what you're doing now. But when I say break free, it may be breaking free from a role that you have been in for some time. Now, because Saturn, the planet of limitation, is in your sector of relating, you might think that your prospects are a zero for the next 2 years. And it is true that there could be some tension in a connection with someone professionally as you go into this week. And that may have actually been heavy weather last week. But Venus, having moved into the friendliest part of your chart, but also the most charismatic sector, and forging an absolute well, absolute series of fab connections on Monday with Uranus, then to Neptune in your sector of relation, and then a direct opposition with Pluto on Friday. So I think you could find that around your romantic situation, this could be quite a supercharged week and a good fun one as well. But if you are looking to perhaps think carefully about a tie which isn't working so well, that ninth house energy of the new moon could be about a need to escape, frankly. But then as we get to the end of the week, we have the move of Chiron into your eighth house, which is intriguing because eighth house can be about intimacy, can be about what we share, but it can also be about how we perhaps view our financial worth in terms of the big stuff. And if you are feeling a bit unsure about that, just know that the switch of the sun on Sunday going right to the top of your chart and linking back to Chiron suggests the next 3 months could be a time of significant breakthroughs about how you view your own personal value, but also in terms of actually achieving some really quite significant success. So be optimistic for sure. So I'm going to summarize those 4 areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next, Libra. But just to say, I've slashed the price of my personal horoscope report. For many years, it's been buy two, get 30% off. Now it's buy one and get three. The one you pay for, your life roadmap report, the most important document any of us can ever read because it helps us to break down into individual components our nature, but get more intimately aware of them, and then we can work those energies better future forwards. Free, your 12 months transit forecast, but also your draconic soul karmic analysis, which helps us to really look at astrology, life, and ourselves in a very different but potentially profound way. Please see the link below for more. If you've yet to watch your Gemini new moon deep dive video, that's on the screen. If you've yet to watch your Chiron into Taurus, the 50-year return video on the screen. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be an absolute pleasure. Please check out my testimonials below. And if you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning for your early day celestial pit stop, please see that below too. So to summarize, energy. I think the nodes being activated by Uranus is something you really need to be aware of because Uranus in Gemini for us all over the next 7 years is going to see huge changes around technology, data, travel, information. You know, it's all going at a breathless rate already. But for you, because the nodes are either in the parts of your chart to do with your psychology and how that affects your physiological state, but also the south nodes in the part of your chart to do with your physical situation. But if you're not feeling happy, that can be affected by your emotions. But what Uranus can do is act as a conduit which brings the truth or the knowledge into the open. But it also could see you a bit on edge if you're locked into a situation you're not enjoying. And I think one of the things that YouTube astrologers, myself included, must remain conscious of is not everybody has an easy way out of whatever complex situation they're in. So if you do feel a bit trapped, just know the sun moving into the most authoritative part of your chart is going to give you some extra ability to negotiate what you need to do for you. But I think if your energy is low at the moment, it might be because something feels overwhelming. But if you can make some moves with the sun's move into Cancer at the end of the week, that would be helpful. As far as your professional situation is concerned, well, obviously the sun moving into Cancer at the end of the week is great, but Jupiter's there at the start of the week. And if you connect to someone, because Jupiter's in a semi-sextile to the new moon, you could have a conversation where someone really is impressed by you. But equally, because Mercury's in the square with Saturn at the start of the week, if you're not enjoying where you are, you may be looking to leave. I think it is a little bit polarized. but I think that's the reality. But if you do work for yourself and you want to get the message out, I think you can do that, but just be aware you have to pace yourself too. As far as your finances are concerned, well, having Mars in the eighth house, Mars is actually in an applying link to Jupiter as the week goes on. So if you're doing something with purpose that you enjoy and you've got it all nailed down, I think your finances could improve this week for sure. Now, romance just depends, of course, on your unique circumstances. But Venus moving into Leo gives you more confidence to connect and socialize with others, but it's linked to Uranus could put you face to face with someone very different, but very quickly. But it could also give you a desire to separate from someone you just don't see your future is going to be with. And with Saturn in that seventh house, I think you're becoming more conscious of your minimum requirements. Why should you accept second best? But if you're lucky enough to meet someone you really like, Venus in that link with Neptune is one of the most beautiful links you can have in astrology. If we're thinking about true love, I think all of us know that life can be very challenging. It's very difficult to meet quality people. But if you did meet someone you really liked, that's a very special aspect. But then in an ongoing relationship that might be okay, the opposition with Venus and Pluto on Friday just could push you both to perhaps do something, get out, socialize, and you may find yourself sort of like re-engaging in that initial sparky way that you first had. It could be fun, it could be intense, it could be very, very up close and personal by the end of the night, or perhaps one of you is in a bit of a huff, but I think you could probably make it up. So I'm not making light of it, but I think romance does benefit from a bit of colour at times. It doesn't need to be all absolutely metronomically on an even level. We're humans. We have moods. We're exhausted. Things get on our nerves. Life is trying, and we have to try to adjust to deal with that. But I think on the whole, whatever your circumstances, there's a lot more to like about your romantic prospects this week. Even if you write under this video and say, Patrick, I'm never having a relationship again, you have got one with yourself and whoever you're talking to in your local store or the neighbours next door. So we do have relationships, even if we don't want a romantic one. But you know, you could still surprise yourself, even if you've decided that's the reality. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always. Have a great week, Libra, and goodbye for now.